What is up, bros, and welcome to the All Bros Podcast. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Caleb.
And we're a couple of bros on a mission to give you guys the most detailed movie reviews out there with as little bias as possible. Welcome to the All Bros. So for 4K Spotlight and Through the Wall, we got nothing to talk about. I don't know if Caleb wants to lead on as to why, or if he just wants me to continue going with it.
Oh, yeah, I guess we can talk about it.
Nah.
Yeah, so we're recording this one ahead of schedule because I will be making a trip to Utah. And as much fun as recording in my parents' house sounds, I didn't want to do that.
Fair. especially with your dad. Oh, I don't know. I haven't talked to your dad in years, but I just kind of have a feeling that he would just be like, not like shitting on the All Bros, but just being like, "Oh, this is dumb what you're doing. Like, I don't know why you still do this." Or has he changed his ways? Does he still feel that way?
Well, I don't know. We don't ever talk about the the podcast.
All right,
dude. I have such I have such a weird relationship with talking about the podcast. Like, I'll talk about it with you. I'll talk about it with,
I sure as hell hope so.
No,
we do this thing together.
I know that's like a duh, but like, you'll see how this freaking relates.
Okay.
I talk about it with you. I talk about it with DJ. I'll shoot the shit with like Ben, Mikey T. Like, I'll shoot the shit with them about the podcast like all day long.
Yeah.
No issues about that whatsoever. The second anybody who doesn't have a podcast comes up and is like, "Oh, I listened to your podcast," I'm like, I want to run into traffic.
That's, you know what? That's fair. Cause like, honestly, cause I don't talk to any other people that do podcasts. None of my friends do shit like that. So like, I have like, friends that sometimes listen to us and be like, "Oh yeah, like really, really great episode. I'm listening to it right now." And I'm just like, "Oh, thanks for listening." Like, I feel bad like every single time that Sam's just like, "Oh yeah, I caught last week's episode. I love listening to you guys. Like, I'm so appreciative, but I don't know what else to say besides, we appreciate you listening. Thank you." I don't know. I don't
with Sam.
Oh yeah, it's with Sam.
So Sam, I feel like I could shoot the shit with about it a little bit.
That's fair. No, like Sam is very easy to talk about the All Bros with. Like, he really is. But like, sometimes I'm just like, I don't know what else to like say besides, hey, like, thanks for listening. We really appreciate it. But at the same time, I don't know about you, but I hate being in the spotlight. So
I do too, which is weird that we're doing this.
Yeah, right. So when he's like, I'm at work and he's like, "Oh yeah, I love listening to the All Bros, such a great podcast." I'm just like, I really hope that like none of my coworkers hear this right now, because I don't want to have to explain what the All Bros is to literally anybody else, because there's only a certain amount of coworkers that know about this, and it's like actual people that like have actually listened, stuff like that. Oh yeah, freaking one of my buddies, Ryan / coworkers, he totally disagrees with your ranking, or I guess our ranking, for the Phantom Menace. I think he straight up wanted to give it a don't bother.
Well, then he can start his own podcast and give it a don't bother. It is not a don't bother. Is he like an avid Star Wars fan?
No, he's not. But we were talking about it today, and he just said that once he can't watch it because of Jar Jar Binks. Like, freaking young
Jar Jar's
Anakin,
such a small part of it, though.
It just ruins it for him. Like, he loves young Anakin, Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, pod racing, all of that stuff. But for some reason, I gotta talk to him more about this, because I really want to. Like, if you just skip over all the Jar Jar Binks parts, like just exit those out, it's at least a stream it. Like, come on, right?
Dude, I don't like the Jar Jar moments either, but I'll freaking skip them if I'm like that bothered by it.
Yeah, right?
The movie, like, minus Jar Jar, the movie's freaking awesome.
It really is. Yeah, no. Episode 1 is really, really good. Better than The Last Jedi. But yeah, it was honestly really funny. I get a text from him because he listened to that with the ranking, and he sends me the gif of Darth Vader going, "No." Oh, it was freaking great. But yeah. So like, there's him and just a couple other coworkers that all actually like they will straight up ask like, oh, like Ryan will be like, oh hey, what's the movie this week? And like sometimes I even feel awkward talking about that because I'm just like, are you actually like going to listen? Because I don't know if I want you to.
Dude, nothing will make me like rethink or replay in my mind like our freaking episodes faster than when Brielle sends like we'll get a message from someone at church and be like, oh, that so and so listened to your podcast. I'm like, which one?
Oh.
Like nothing makes
Please,
me
for
freak
the
out more.
love of God, tell me it wasn't an explicit one that they accidentally clicked on.
Dude, I was so worried about that one because she was telling me that someone from like a friend of hers, like one of her counselors, said that she listened to a show, and I was like, oh shit. And it was like right after we'd like talked about like sexual stuff, and I'm like, uh-oh,
shit.
like which one, and then she's like, I don't know, and I'm like, ask her.
I need the deets.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, she listened to like an older one. I'm like, which one?
Like, we've been potty mouth since day one on this podcast.
Yeah, dude, and like there's someone in my ward who I don't think has listened to an episode, but she's asked me a couple times about the show.
Oh God.
And she's just like, what exactly is a podcast? And I'm like, I can't get into this conversation with you. And I know she hasn't listened to the show. Okay. Because like I went, because like she keeps talking about it, like, oh, like I'm gonna listen one of these days, and I'm like, don't,
please don't.
But she I know she hasn't, because when she was helping someone move and like recruited me, and so I was helping them move and everything, and she was like super careful about avoiding using any like cuss words, and I'm like, she's like she would let one slip, but she'd be like, she'd say like, oh, like damn, and I'm like, and she's like, oh, sorry, I don't mean to like to cuss like this. I usually like, I'm such a potty mouth, and I'm just like, okay. I'm like, damn is probably the like the nicest word I'll say in a day.
Same. Yeah.
But yeah, like, but yeah, like so anyone outside of the podcasting community, it's like like very exceptional few. It is like I can talk about I can't talk about the show with them, or just like the ins and outs, because it feels so awkward.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, but then like anyone within the community, dude, like I was actually talking to someone about the podcast, and then like it was super awkward, like it felt really weird, and like I was like having like an awkward moment, and then he brought up that he had one, and I was like, oh, and like all of those feelings just gone, like vanished. Yeah. I'm like, so you get it.
Yeah. I feel the person that I'm a little indifferent with is my buddy Michael, because like he wants to start a podcast. He has all of the equipment ready for it. He just hasn't been able to. So I feel like out of everybody, he's like the easiest to talk to when it comes to the All Pros, because I feel he gets it. He for the most part, not for the most part, I feel he does get it. So if I had to like pick one out of like everybody that I talked to about the All Bros, no offense, Sam, love you to death. I feel Michael is the one that's like, it's probably the easiest to talk to him about the All Bros.
That's fair. Someone who's on that journey.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Talk him into it. Tell him we'll invite him.
Deal. Okay, deal. What was I gonna say? He actually, I'm trying to get him on for the Five Nights at Freddy's episode because he's a huge FNAF fan.
Dude,
So, fingers
let's
crossed.
let's freaking make that happen.
Are you listening, Michael and Becky? Possibly.
Both of them.
How the hell did we get off topic this much?
I don't know.
Okay.
We haven't even had the intro to our episode yet.
That's true. That's true. Anyway, so that's why we don't have any through the wall or 4K spotlights. So we'll be jumping right in to our headliner of the evening, which will be our breakdown of Avengers: Age of Ultron. So, Caleb, what do you say we get started?
Say, let's do it.
Need motivation? Angry Dad Podcast. Trying to jumpstart your life? Angry Dad Podcast. You want help getting off the couch? Angry Dad Podcast. You need a verbal kick in the ass? Angry Dad Podcast. You want to hear from somebody who's been through it all? Angry Dad Podcast. I am here for you. You can find me on all podcast platforms.
All right, so getting into our breakdown of Avengers: Age of Ultron, Caleb, would you like to let everybody know how we break down movies on this podcast?
I would love to. If you're new to our breakdown system, we have split movies into 8 different categories that we individually score to come to a final All Bros letter grade. The 8 categories that we score are story, writing, acting, character development, effects, music, costumes, and then we give our own personal score at the very end. All of these numbers get magically added up and spit through our algorithm and give us a final All Bros letter grade to compare this movie to others of a similar grade. This one's going to be a little bit on the different side because I don't know, if you've heard any of our previous rankings, Avengers: Age of Ultron is one that is in our ranking list, but we've never done an episode about it. This was actually one where we were doing an experimental thing, where we were going to try releasing posts. It was the recommendation before we figured out that we could do videos about it, because we were releasing the movie and then the individual scores and then saying oh, this is what we gave it or whatever. So we ranked, or we scored it and everything. All of that was good and wonderful. But yeah, we've never done an official episode on it. So the way that this is going to be different is we already have our scores. We know what this is, what the letter grade is. So yeah, we have the scores, and so we're just going to talk about them,
because we still got a lot to say.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So with that, we can get right into this episode. So
hell yeah!
If you have not seen Avengers: Age of Ultron, you've had plenty of time to do so, but
I've had 8 years exactly.
Yeah, so we are. Yeah, if we spoil it for you, sucks to be you. But yeah, Rose is about to spoil the entire thing for you in our favorite segment that we like to call Reading with Rose. One of these days, I wish that they would give an animation feature so I could have sparkles and
that would be cool. I'm not gonna lie. Fingers crossed one day. All right. In the Eastern European country of Sokovia, the Avengers, Tony Stark, Thor. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna call them by their superhero names. Let's rewind this, okay? In the Eastern European country of Sokovia, the Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, the Hulk, Captain America, Black Widow, and Hawkeye raid a Hydra facility commanded by Baron Wolfgang von Strucker, who has experimented on humans using the scepter previously wielded by Loki. They meet 2 of Strucker's test subjects, twins Pietro, who has superhuman speed, and Wanda Maximoff, who has telepathic and telekinetic abilities, and apprehends Strucker while Stark retrieves Loki's scepter. Stark and Banner discover an artificial intelligence within the Scepter's gem and secretly decide to use it to complete Stark's Ultron global defense program. The unexpectedly sentient Ultron, believing he must eradicate humanity to save Earth, eliminates Stark's AI Jarvis and attacks the Avengers at their headquarters. Escaping with the scepter, Ultron uses the resources in Strucker's Sokovia base to upgrade his rudimentary body and build an army of robot drones. Having killed Strucker, he recruits the Maximoffs, who hold Stark responsible for their parents' deaths by his company's weapons, and goes to the base of arms dealer Ulysses Claw in Johannesburg to get vibranium. The Avengers attack Ultron and the Maximoffs, but Wanda subdues them with haunting visions, causing Banner to turn into the Hulk and rampage until Stark stops him with his anti-Hulk armor. Okay, I'm gonna point this out.
Bullshit.
Okay, I'm gonna because this like definitely is like adds to the writing score. The fact that when Wanda is doing this and they let Hawkeye basically just freaking turn around and slap an arrow right onto her forehead and just be like, I've done the whole mind control thing. Not a fan. I literally just wanted to stand up and be like, damn right you have, and you're not doing it again. You actually have to be freaking Hawkeye in this movie. Oh, that made me so happy, dude. I was so scared when we first saw this movie. I was like, God damn it, he's gonna get mind controlled again. But no, they freaking pulled that, and I was so happy. God, oh my God, I loved that part so much.
Yeah, that's some good shit right there.
Right? Oh, I loved it. All right. A worldwide backlash over the resulting destruction and the fears Wanda's hallucinations incited send the team into hiding at Barton's farmhouse. Thor departs to since I said the superhero names, I should say that's Hawkeye for anyone who doesn't know that Clint Barton is Hawkeye. Thor departs to consult with Dr. Eric Selvig on the apocalyptic future he saw in his hallucination, while Nick Fury arrives and encourages the team to form a plan to stop Ultron. In Seoul, I hope I said that right. Is it Seoul?
Yeah, it's Seoul.
So, okay. Ultron uses Loki's scepter to enslave the team's friend Helen Cho. They use her synthetic tissue technology, vibranium, and the scepter's gem to craft a new body. As Ultron uploads himself into the body, Wanda is able to read his mind, discovering his plan for human extinction, the Maximoffs' turn against Ultron. Rogers, Romanoff, and Barton, you know what? I actually really regret reading off their names as superheroes because this guy just literally goes by their names throughout the rest. Damn it. Okay. My bad. Sorry, guys.
One of these days, you're just going to have to write your own.
Yeah, seriously. So for people that don't know, this is going to, I just want to make sure that people know. Iron Man is Tony Stark. Captain America is Steve Rogers. Thor is Thor. Bruce Banner is the Hulk. Clint Barton is Hawkeye. And Natasha Romanoff is Black Widow. So when I say those names, there you go. That's who they are. We just turned this into learning with Rose too. Okay. Rogers, Romanoff, and Barton fight Ultron and retrieve the synthetic body, but Ultron captures Romanoff. The Avengers fight among themselves when Stark and Banner secretly upload Jarvis, who is still working after hiding from Ultron inside the internet, into the synthetic body. Thor returns to help activate the body based on his vision that the gem on its brow is the Mind Stone, one of the 6 Infinity Stones, the most powerful objects in existence. This vision earns their trust by being worthy of lifting Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. Vision and the Maximoffs go with the Avengers to Sokovia, where Ultron has used the remaining vibranium to build a machine to lift a large part of the capital city skyward, intending to crash it into the ground to cause global extinction. Banner rescues Romanoff, who awakens the Hulk for the battle. The Avengers fight Ultron's army while Fury arrives in a helicarrier with Maria Hill, James Rhodes, and SHIELD agents. God damn it! And SHIELD agents to evacuate civilians. Pietro dies when he shields Barton from gunfire, and a vengeful Wanda abandons her post to destroy Ultron's primary body, which allows one of his drones to activate the machine. The city plummets, but Stark and Thor overload the machine and shatter Ultron's primary body, which allows one of his drones... Wait, god damn it. Wow. Sorry. Okay, so... Let's start over, okay? All right, here we go. Pietro dies when he shields Barton from gunfire, and a vengeful Wanda abandons her post to destroy Ultron's primary body, which allows one of his drones to activate the machine. The city plummets, but Stark and Thor overload the machine and shatter the landmass. In the aftermath, the Hulk, unwilling to endanger Romanoff by being with her, departs in a Quinjet while Vision confronts and destroys Ultron's last remaining body. Later, with the Avengers having established a new base run by Fury, Hill, Cho, and Selvig, Thor returns to Asgard to learn more about the forces he suspects have manipulated recent events. As Stark leaves and Barton retires, Rogers and Romanoff prepare to train new Avengers: Rhodes, Vision, Sam Wilson, and Wanda. In a mid-credit scene, Thanos dons a gauntlet and vows to retrieve the Infinity Stones himself. I struggled hardcore with that one. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we got through it.
It just makes me sad because this is the Avengers movie out of the 4 I've seen the most times. Like, I can't even count how many times I've seen Age of Ultron. So that just, I don't know, that makes me sad. I feel defeated. So I just want to point that out.
Oh. Well, getting into this, like starting off first, like we usually do. We're gonna start off with story, which, like I said, we've already put in our scores for this, so we have actually ended up giving the story for Age of Ultron an 80, which I think is pretty on track. With this last rewatch.
No, I can agree. I watched this about a week ago again, and I feel the biggest problem this movie has is they threw so much at Joss Whedon that he needed to set up for future movies that I feel that he definitely just wanted to tell another Avengers movie where it's just these 6 Avengers, working together, saving the day. That's well, and of course I know he wanted the Maximoffs in there as well and work that in, but just having to talk about the Mind Stone, bringing up the all of the Infinity Stones. I feel that there's definitely clearly some plot points that, like, Kevin Feige was probably just like, okay, we need this needs to be explained in the movie, so that the next because Ant-Man capped off phase 2, right?
Yes.
Okay. So and I feel Ant-Man didn't really have a huge didn't really set that much up for phase 3, but I feel Age of Ultron had to. So I feel that this sequel it has so much to do that unfortunately it kind of bites off a little more than it can chew. Which is unfortunate, because like I love the first Avengers so much. So like, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy the sequel, like freaking like to death, because of Hawkeye actually gets a freaking backstory in this movie, and just I was so happy with everything that they did with Hawkeye in this movie. But it just felt, I don't know, with this movie, it felt like there was too much to accomplish, and unfortunately, some things had to suffer because of that.
It absolutely did. Honestly, I don't think that Ultron should have been a one-off like he ended up being.
Absolutely agree.
This was supposed to be called, like, the biggest issue I had with this story is with the title, where it's the Age of Ultron. The Age of Ultron ended up lasting like a solid weekend, maybe.
Dude, straight up.
And
we should have just called that Avengers Weekend at Ultron's.
Yeah.
That's what we should have called.
Dude, that's exactly what it should have been called. Ultron, I think, should have been... I don't even know how they would have handled Age of Ultron. This is probably one where I would have been okay if they split Age of Ultron into 2 parts.
Yes, absolutely. So that I do have a question for you. So yeah, if we're wanting, Ultron to have a way bigger presence, not just be a one-off villain, would you have saved Thanos for later, or would you have still continued with how they set him up in Phase 3, leading into Infinity War and Endgame?
Okay, like I please note what I'm about to say has not been fully like fleshed out. This is just like off the top of my head. All right. So the way that I would have handled this is, at least in terms of like how the movies go, or how I would have altered the movies a little bit. I would have turned Iron Man 3 into the introduction of Ultron as the suit of armor around the world situation. Okay.
All right, I like that.
So that's how I would have introduced, because at the end of Iron Man 3, because like I don't even remember what we get at the end of like Iron Man 3 in terms of like the end credit, but this is what I would have done. I would have had Iron Man 3, like most of Phase 1 I would have had play out exactly the same. So Iron Man 2, Avengers, like exactly the same. Was Doctor Strange after? Hold on, I need to look up our list real quick. Okay. So Iron Man up until Iron Man 2, Avengers, same. Thor. Oh, man, I don't have this in order. All right, hold on.
Yeah, so sorry, really. So the post-credit scene. So it looks like there was not a. I don't know. It looks like there was just one end credit scene for Iron Man, and literally it was just that where he's freaking talking to Banner, and it's like a therapy session.
That's right. Okay, so now I have this list up now. So Phase 1 was Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America, Avengers. Keep it the same. Okay. Like, nothing wrong with that. Iron Man 3, I would have turned into the introduction of Ultron at the end of the movie. So, like, I'd still have that play out the same, where he's taking on the Mandarin, and he blows up all his suits. And once he blows up all his suits, that gives him the idea to create the suit of armor around the world, and creates the AI Ultron. And then you could still tie in Hulk cameo, where show him and Banner working on a new AI, calling it like Project Ultron. Thor: The Dark World,
just erase.
Okay, I would love to, but I can't. Thor: The Dark World, I would have finished off with an Ultron cameo.
Okay.
So have the multiple suits, or multiple like centuries of Ultrons. Like I'd have him like look like Iron Man's about to come in, but then it's like boom, like landing on the floor, boom, 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 and like have a bunch of things like land on the ground in London, helping clean up.
Oh, okay.
And then that's also Ultron. Winter Soldier, I would have kept the same. Guardians, I would have kept the same. Then Age of Ultron, I would have split into 2 different movies. So the first movie, I would have like just kind of tying in like Age of Ultron a little bit. I would have kept it the same, where Ultron gets like infected with the Mind Stone and becomes sentient. And then that's when he turns against like the Avengers. But yeah, I would have had his army already kind of spread out around the world, and where at the end of Age of Ultron, they're still like the Avengers are in a situation where they're unable to, where the world's kind of become a police state by like under Ultron's command, and he's still like working up towards like the like a body.
Okay.
So at the end of like the Age of Ultron Part 1, it would have been like the world is just in complete and utter chaos, because there's like conflict within the Avengers because of what Tony and Bruce did in creating Ultron. So there's kind of like a little rift, and they try to like they kind of go off on their own little adventures. So like Thor goes off to like, because he's like sensing like, or whatever the hell was happening with Thor, he's sensing like the Mind Stone and everything like within Loki's scepter.
Okay.
And like he goes on his journey. You could expand on it a bit more. Cap goes with Widow and Hawkeye to his compound, and then like Banner and Tony are kind of off doing their thing. So it's like, so it'd be like an introduction to sentient Ultron, and then you get the under police state, like under like the whole world is just kind of under Ultron's thumb.
Okay.
And then part 2 would be him like pushing for this perfect body, creating Vision. And then obviously like big battle, he gets defeated. But the like Age of Ultron needed to be longer than a friggin' weekend. Like it needed to be
true.
I would have had this split over like timeline wise, maybe a year.
Yeah.
Maybe a year is a little long.
I don't know, man.
Less than a year, more than 6 months.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, and then so the way that would conclude is like, yeah, big battle, Sokovia fall. Like I would have kept most of that stuff. Same thing with like the twins. I would have had them not turn I would have had them be part of Ultron's plan in part 1, and then defeated or then switch sides in part 2.
Okay.
And then they help defeat Ultron.
Yeah.
And then that, I think, would have led much better into, you know what, now that I'm looking at this, I'd probably bump Ant-Man before Age of Ultron, and then I'd have the Age of Ultron part 1 and then part 2.
I always found it weird that they finished phase 2 off with Ant-Man, because they finished phase 1 off with the Avengers. So I don't know, I've always felt that the Avengers movie should be the cap off to a
You would think. It's like the same with phase 3. They freaking finished it with Far From Home. Like that should have been the beginning of phase 4.
Yeah. No, seriously, yeah. Yeah, it should have been
whatever.
phase 1
So, yeah,
ends with the Avengers, phase 2 Age of Ultron, phase 3 Endgame.
Yeah, so I would bump Ant-Man to before Age of Ultron, and then have part 1, part 2.
Yeah,
then
makes sense.
I would have the conclusion of that lead into Captain America: Civil War.
Ooh, I like that.
Because think about that, like the world just gets out from under the thumb of Ultron, right? Like basically being a world superpower created by Iron Man and the Hulk. Like, yeah, Civil War makes a shit ton more sense.
Yeah.
Like instead of like, oh, like Ultron tried to drop this big ass rock on the planet and you guys stopped it, but it was like your creation. Like I think the world needed to be a little bit more pissed off at Iron Man.
Fair.
Like in my like Iron Man's like looked upon in like this whole system a lot less favorably.
Okay.
And then yeah, Civil War I would have kept the same. Doctor Strange, Volume 2, Homecoming, Ragnarok. I would have kept all of that shit. So yeah, that's what how I would have adjusted phase 2.
I actually really like that. That's I gotta agree, honestly.
Yeah, I would have made Ultron would have been a much bigger player in these movies.
Yeah, because it just sucks that you get such a cool villain like Ultron and you only get him for one movie.
Yeah, but I don't think it like. I think like how it should end, or how it should have ended, because like I know that you kind of pulled this off with Infinity War where the Avengers lost, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this situation, I don't necessarily think it's that they lost. It's that they've just kind of all gone their own way, or they're split up.
Okay.
And so that's why Age of Ultron, that's why Ultron's able to take over, like become the friggin' police state ruler,
Yeah.
because
Makes sense.
the Avengers separate.
Yeah, makes sense.
Like I think Banner and Tony, like honestly, like you could probably even like I would have gotten rid of the freaking romance between Banner and Widow completely.
Yeah, that just feels so out of place.
Yeah. So there's definitely some rewrites, and who knows, possibly a whole like Avengers Age of like a phase 2 rework like Dreamcast in the future. Like let us know if you'd like me to flesh this out a bit more, but that's how I
Please
would
say
have
yes.
yeah, this is, like I said, this is just off the top of my head. Like,
This is some good shit though. I'm loving what I'm hearing.
yeah. But yeah, I think that's what would have happened in my Age of Ultron. It would have been a separation. Like I don't think there would have been a final battle. I think, well, how do you pull that off though? Like the only reason I have an issue with making it like a final battle that they lose is because I'm trying to like keep that the shock and surprise of Infinity War, like to still be relevant, and not them be like in this like metaphorical situation. They'd be like, oh well, they just copied what they did in part 1 of Age of Ultron. Like I still want that surprise that they lost, so I don't think it'd be like a full-blown final battle. I think it'd kind of be a coming to blows situation more than anything, and then it show like the Avengers off on their own thing, where maybe it becomes like an espionage thing with Widow, Hawkeye, and Cap. Banner and Iron Man are trying to come up with some sort of failsafe, or like come up with some sort of programming to kill Ultron, and then Thor's off on his journey of like discovery with the Infinity Stones.
Okay, yeah, I like that. I actually like that a lot.
Yeah, and it's like because they're separated that they're able to like have big problems like this. Like I think what I would have done is like just to kind of help like sell that Hulk is wanting to like run away to a different planet, because like I still keep like like phase 3 intact, right?
Yeah.
Is I'd have part of like, oh man, like this just kind of sidelines Thor like a ton, like my idea, but have like the conclusion be where Iron Man finds out that Ultron's gathering a shit ton of vibranium. He takes Banner to wherever the hell that they were. They weren't like somewhere in Africa, right? And have them try to like figure out why he's collecting all this stuff, and then pull the whole Black Widow shit or the Scarlet Witch thing again, and have Hulk go on a complete and utter rampage. Iron Man's dealing with trying to deal with that. I would have the freaking Hulk shit go on for like a while, like a long freaking while.
All right.
And then the stuff with like Cap and Widow like going to Barton's place and kind of formulating a game plan and attempting to go and execute it, but then getting like stopped by Ultron, like basically getting like captured or like withheld by Ultron.
All right.
Yeah, like I said, if you want me, if anyone wants me to flesh this out a bit more, I'd be happy to. But again, this is just top of my head stuff.
I said I love this, so
yeah. Honestly, I'd finish most of the phases off. Like at least now, I'd finish most phases off with 2 movies.
Fair. That's absolutely fair.
Yeah. Like I think after the first Avengers, it's like boom, you got your origin story for the Avengers. That can be one story.
Yeah.
And then it's just like each phase should be a lead up to one big baddie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Phase 1 was just gathering the Avengers. Phase 2, taking on Ultron. And then Phase 3, you're leading up to Thanos. Finally, because you clued him in the first Avengers.
Hmm.
And then here, like in this phase, like that we're in now, like they need to set up a big bad. We don't know who the hell that is. Or actually, that's not true. Kang.
That was Kang. Yeah.
Yeah. Like right now you have the build up to Kang. Just like we need, first off, like it was a real slow build, but
True.
we got there. Like I would have started off like almost immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I wish I could freaking just get in a room and like pitch some of this shit. But anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, with what we got in this movie, not what we wish we got with this movie. The story it felt rushed and like slapped together.
I absolutely agree. I think like now it's like coming back to me. I swear that I saw maybe it wasn't an interview, but I just saw somewhere that Joss Whedon, like basically Kevin Feige said, "Hey, I need you to have these two things in there, and you might have to take away some of what you wanted to do in this movie." And he's like, "Okay, I can, I think I can make that work, but I only have two things that I refused to get rid of," and it was actually Clint Barton's farmhouse. He did not want to take away the storyline that Hawkeye gets.
Fair.
And I believe he didn't want to take away I think it was anything when it came to Wanda. Jeez Louise. Wanda and Pietro.
Also fair.
Yeah. So those were his like two big things. Like, okay, I will do my best to work, or I will make work what you want me to, but I will not let those two storylines be taken out of Avengers 2. Which I of course appreciate, because the fact that Hawkeye actually gets a storyline in this movie instead of getting freaking just mind controlled for the whole movie put a freaking smile on my face. My favorite superhero actually got to be himself. That made me so freaking happy.
I mean, with us sitting at an 80 with story, this is just like slightly above average, because like our average is 75.
Yeah,
like that's usually like our base point, and then we build up from there. So this is like just slightly above average in terms of storytelling, and it's because the villain wasn't very fleshed out. There was a lot of like weird shit, like with what we were talking about, the romance between Widow and Hulk, that was just funky.
Yeah.
Like felt very much out of place. Especially since canonically this is the same Hulk that was in the Incredible Hulk. That's very much in love with Betty.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
So I had a lot of issues with this story overall. Like,
that's fair.
More than it's saved, and I can justify it to be like, I can push it higher in my brain, because I'm like, man, it would have been cool if they did this, and then I think about it more favorably. But then I like, with the rewatch, I'm just like, oh yeah, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. The coolest part for me in this was the Hulk fight. Hulk versus Hulkbuster.
That's fair. Oh, dude, that scene is still so great.
Yeah, bullshit how it ended, but what
fair.
can you do?
But I mean, dude, come on, Hulk got some great punches in there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm still fairly happy with the 80.
I am too, definitely.
All right, moving on over to writing. This was same ballpark. Sitting at an 80. Like, it wasn't any better or wasn't any worse. It was average writing.
I think because for me it's one of my favorite lines, but like for anyone that doesn't really know the comics, they wouldn't understand. Or at least I feel they're just like, what the hell does that mean? There's a scene at the beginning after the whole fight with Strucker, because during that fight Hawkeye is hit and they have to, you know, perform aid to him. And so as he's getting healed at the Avengers compound, Banner asks Stark, oh, how's he doing? And Stark just straight up said, well, he's still Barton. And Banner said, well, that's terrible. And I feel for people that don't know how much of a smartass and honestly a jackass Clint Barton is in the comics. Like he's kind of a fucking asshole. Like, but it's
dude.
Sorry,
he is.
but I love him for it. There's a reason why he's like, that's one of the biggest reasons why he's my favorite. But like, unfortunately, Renner wasn't able to portray that until Age of Ultron, because he literally barely got to show that at all in the Avengers. So when they have that whole interaction, I'm assuming that a lot of audience members were just like, wait, you mean when you say like, oh, he's unfortunately still Barton, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
So
dude, I would love to see like that more of that side of Clint Barton, and like just like that comic accurate side, because he is like people always like talk about like like Captain America being like the person that's going to get shit done. But if anyone's like that, it's freaking Hawkeye. Like he's the one that like before the like to kick off the Immortal Hulk storyline, Banner actually developed basically a projectile that would kill him if the Hulk were to like get out of control, or if like the threat of the Hulk were to get out of control. He gave this arrow to Clint Barton and told him, like, if like using your best judgment, like if you ever feel like me or the Hulk are gonna like get out of control, like use it. And he went and he's like, okay, why the hell did you come to me with this? And he's like, because I know like out of everyone else in the Avengers, you're the only one who will. And there was like a big old freaking like Hulk had been on, or Banner had been on the run for like a while. So like he gave this to him like comic book like years prior. And he's been holding on to this projectile for like ever. And there was a situation that Banner was just like, he was on the run from like everyone, and they found out where he was. And so all the Avengers went to this place and like confronted him. Okay. And he was talking about this. He was kind of going insane because Hulk had just become a bit more powerful within his consciousness. And so he was kind of going insane and doing these experiments that were just completely reckless, and talking about like doing more gamma experimentation, which he had like, everyone's like, well, don't you think that this is going to make Hulk more powerful? And they're like, and he's like, oh no, blah, blah, blah. And like, while he's talking, the freaking projectile comes out of a tree, like right through his head. And everyone's just like, what the fuck? And yeah. And then they go and like arrest Hawkeye and everything for murder. And they're just like, he was out of control. And then like, obviously that leads into the Immortal Hulk. So Hulk comes back to life and everything. And there's a situation where Hulk and Hawkeye are like alone together, and he almost freaking Hawkeye up.
Oh.
And he's like, yo, like you told me to do this, but, or like Banner told him to do it, but
yeah, that's always feel one thing I've been disappointed with the MCU, that Hawkeye and the Hulk really haven't been able they really haven't had a lot of interaction with each other.
Yeah. But yeah, like it was something that they had talked about in, like, in comics for like a while. Like there was actually funny enough, a Deadpool comic where all the Avengers were getting together for Christmas, and Deadpool was like crashing the party and brought sweaters for everyone, and he gave Hawkeye a sweater that's like, I killed the Hulk and all I got was this stupid sweater. And they were just like, out.
Oh,
like,
that's
not
so
cool,
good.
man.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it freaking hilarious. But yeah, that's something else that I think Marvel's neglecting. Like, they're building up to these team up, or like these big team ups, big Avengers movies. I feel like they're neglecting team ups.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Like, how cool would it have been to get like an Iron Man, Captain America movie?
Oh, I would have freaking loved that.
Like, just those two.
Yeah. Just
and
like,
then same
I want
thing
my freaking Budapest movie.
Yeah. Or for like other like non-conventional ones, like how, like I don't know, freaking like Hawkeye and Thor. That'd be a freaking cool one too.
That would be. Actually, yeah. Shit, man. Yeah.
Yeah, or even
I feel like
it's like, I don't need these big, like, the big team ups are cool. Yeah. But there's just something about like buddies.
No, I agree. I definitely agree.
So yeah, anyway, freaking dude, sidetracked again. That one's like all my fault.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that, I feel that that's really not being sidetracked. We're still talking about Marvel. We're still talking about the Avengers. So
yeah, it's just like with this movie in particular, it's just, I think this would have thrived more with better build up to things. Or
I agree.
Or just not necessarily focusing too hard on these like collaborative things. Like, hey, like we need to introduce Wakanda, which is something that they did in this. They need to establish that Ulysses Claw stole vibranium. They needed to establish that. Honestly, one thing that I don't think they ever freaking touched on was Helen Cho.
Yeah, that's
who
true.
was the doctor that healed up Hawkeye. And did she die?
Yes, she does.
Okay.
When she betrays Ultron, he kills her.
Yeah, so it's like they completely ignored that. Like Helen Cho, because Helen Cho's the mother to Amadeus Cho, who is another Hulk.
Oh.
So it's like all these buildups, but it's just, I don't know. It was again, it was on the same level as the writing here.
That's fair. Like, I do have a question though, in your opinion, like, because I mean, shocker, I actually really like the direction that they took with Hawkeye. How, like, he has a family and everything. He asked Fury to keep it off Shield's files, and so you really get to know who Clint Barton is as a person. But are you glad that they went with that direction, or do you wish that they would have gone with like the comic versions where he, he's definitely just like a solo guy, does his own thing, doesn't have a family weighing him down, or do you like that they took the direction that they did for his character in the MCU?
I appreciated it.
No, I do too. I feel as like other entries came out, they definitely it definitely
ignored
felt more they did. I feel it was definitely brought up more so again in Hawkeye, but that makes sense.
Yeah, the Hawkeye series, I feel, covered it perfectly.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, no, I just wanted your opinion. If you liked the from here on out, if you liked the direction that they took with the character of Hawkeye.
Yeah, I like the family man aspect to it. I thought it worked really well for his character.
Agreed.
Um,
And the fact that his kids consider Natasha Auntie Nat, that's just freaking adorable. Just
Yeah.
showcases how it was literally a brother-sister relationship.
mhm. Yeah. So, like we said, writing sitting at an 80, and I think we're both pretty comfortable with that score still.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, moving on over to acting. We were a little bit higher on, and by a little bit, I mean a lot of bit. Yeah, so going through this cast real quick, we have Robert Downey Jr., who plays Iron Man, or Tony Stark / Iron Man. We have Chris Evans, who plays Steve Rogers / Captain America. We have Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor Odinson. We have Scarlett Johansson, who plays Natasha Romanoff / Black Widow. We have Jeremy Renner, who plays Clint Barton / Hawkeye. Mark Ruffalo, who plays Bruce Banner / the Hulk. Elizabeth Olsen, who played Wanda Maximoff / the Scarlet Witch. Aaron Taylor Johnson, who plays Pietro Maximoff or Quicksilver. We have James Spader, who provides the voice for Ultron. Kobe Smulders, who plays Mariah Hill. And then Samuel L. Jackson, who plays Nick Fury. And then I think we had one more. Yep. We had Paul Bettany, who provided the voice for Jarvis and also played Vision.
Hell yeah. Yeah, like you said, pretty stacked cast.
Super stacked. Like, especially now, like,
Yeah.
just as time's gone on, like, it's only gotten, like, bigger.
Yeah, like I remember when we went and saw this together, like how we were just like, okay, can they really get bigger than this when it comes to how many people are associated with the team? And lo and behold, Avengers 3 and 4 happened.
Mm-hmm.
I want your opinion though, because I was talking to Christina about this. So in Quantumania, Scott says that I'm an Avenger now, all that stuff. And I know that Spider-Man gets knighted as an Avenger by Tony, but I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like after the original 6, it for how many people were brought on as Avengers, and like it wasn't like a huge process. Like it felt like, I guess it should have been, or at least to me. And like now I'm thinking towards the comics, so maybe I'm wrong here, but it felt like when someone became an Avenger, it didn't mean as much as it did when these original 6 guys did, at least when it came to the MCU.
Well, you also got to think, like, the original 6, they, like, created the Avengers within, obviously, the MCU. So it was kind of a big deal. And then Wanda became an Avenger in Age of Ultron because she decided to go out and fight with them. Like, knighted, I guess. Yeah. I don't think, like, Avenger, like, it wasn't, like, a membership thing. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I think that Tony Stark just turned it into, like, oh, we're the Avengers. Like, it's a freaking, like a freaking band. It's just like, we can invite whoever the hell we want to be part of this. It wasn't official or anything because otherwise it would have been some sort of like official group, like at least in terms of like the government or SHIELD or whatever. But it was just a directive that Nick Fury wrote up. It's just like, hey, we're going to need these people on hand. Like we need to keep track of these people. So just in case we need them all to gather, like they're there.
Yeah.
According to a couple articles I've seen, as of right now, the Avengers are disbanded. Like there are no Avengers right now. And that's why the Thunderbolts are going to come in and like take the Avengers' place because there are no Avengers right now.
All right, that makes sense. Damn, I don't like to think of an MCU without the Avengers.
Yeah.
That makes me kind of sad.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so yeah, we were sitting at a 90 with this acting score, and it's because of how, like, at least now, like, just we've had more time with them, so we just see how consistent their portrayal has been.
Yeah, absolutely.
So who was your top 3 for this film?
Let's see, number 3. Who would I give number 3? Sorry, I don't really get a good. You know what? Number 3. God damn it! I'm sorry. I pressed the wrong button. Oh my freaking god! My laptop is being stupid. Okay, number 3. I'm gonna give to James Spader, who did Ultron. I know this was just voice work, but actually, wait, no, he did motion capture for Ultron. So
Yeah, he did a little bit of it.
yeah, absolutely freaking phenomenal. I still stand, even 8 years later, by the fact that I want James Spader to narrate my life.
Oh man, dude, if they're like I've attempted to watch that show that he's on, the Blacklist, just because like I love his voice, but it's like one of those shows I just can't get into.
That's fair. No, dude, I understand. Yeah, his voice is so captivating as Ultron. It's so intimidating. Like you just can't help but be in awe for like the way that he's talking. Like honestly, his plans, to just destroy humanity and everything. Maybe it's just because of his voice, but I'm just like, you know what? Maybe you got a point there, man. Maybe I can get behind this.
Dude, James Spader thrives on dialogues.
Dude, he does. Like, oh my god, it's incredible. So James
Funny
Spader,
enough, he's actually my number 2.
hell yeah. No, great freaking choice. Great freaking choice. Sorry. Number 2, I think I'm going to give to Robert Downey Jr. Honestly, he is always amazing as Tony Stark. And in this movie, especially the emotions that he has to go through, with him believing that he's the reason why that the Avengers would be disbanded, why everyone dies around him, just all the effects that he goes through, just throughout the movie, just how he wants the Avengers to stay a team. It's honestly insane. But amazing acting, absolutely, from Robert Downey Jr. He once again kills it in this role. But number 1, by shocker to no one, I gotta give it to Jeremy Renner. I gotta give it to my boy Clint Barton. Because in the first one, he was just a mind-controlled zombie. Like, yeah, at the final fight, yes, he got to throw in some couple quips, but not really that much. In this freaking movie, he actually gets a freaking backstory where he actually has a family. He owns his own land. We even get deeper into how he was brought into Shield. His relationship, not really as much of his relationship with Nat. But I still feel like once we get to his house, you could definitely tell how close the family is with Natasha. Because you can't you hear his kids call her Auntie Nat. His wife even talks about her a lot. Laura does. Just yeah, everything that they did with Clint, I love so much, and just I love Jeremy Renner in this role. He is the reason why Hawkeye is my favorite. If it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't really even know who Hawkeye was. Since the first Thor, after I saw his appearance there, I started actually diving into who Hawkeye was, reading comics, trying to understand who Clint Barton was, because got a glimpse of him and I wanted to know more. And I've always just thought the guy with a bow and arrow that has no superpowers, that just seems really cool as hell to me. So it's thanks to Jeremy Renner that Hawkeye is my favorite. And just yeah, he blew it out of the water this time. Next to the series Hawkeye, just because he actually gets so much to do in there. This is, I feel, his best performance as the character. Just because, like I say, he actually gets to play Clint Barton. He actually gets to be the sarcastic asshole that he is, and I absolutely freaking love it. So yeah, Jeremy Renner, absolutely number 1.
Fair enough. Damn, dude, I was giving this some like genuine thought, like while you were talking. I am actually going to like restructure. I'm changing my answer a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to give my number 1 to James Spader.
I like it.
Loved Ultron. I loved how like Shakespearean he was. And all that good shit. And it, like I said, I wish it was, or like we were talking about earlier, I wish it was something that was a little bit more developed. I would have loved to see more of this, like especially from a just like a longer formatted place, I guess. I don't know. I lost my words there, but yeah. So I'm giving James Spader. I think he did a fantastic job. Made Ultron stand out a lot more than he would have otherwise. Like voiced by literally anyone else.
Yeah.
Like James Spader's voice just worked incredibly well for this character. So yeah, I'm giving him my number 1. My number 2, I am going to be giving to Jeremy Renner.
Holy shit, dude.
I know, dude. It
Wow.
surprised me too. With this like latest rewatch, I enjoyed his performance more than any of the other Avengers.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like I thought he was witty, like charming as all hell. I like that they showed off like his fun side a little bit, where he was still like going to like lifting Thor's hammer, or attempting to. Like I thought that was really fun, because I didn't really think like before that he would be the type of person that would do that. Like I think he would have been on like Nat's side and be like, oh well, like whatever, like who cares if I can lift this hammer. But like I love that he like was able to joke around with them. But then he also gave a really good performance when he was talking to Wanda. And the whole like, you walk out those doors, you're an Avenger, like that whole discussion was fantastic. And like super inspirational too. Like they freaking like got me worked up and just like, yes, like let's freaking do this.
Oh yes, I love it.
Yeah, my struggles come with number 3, because it's like instinctually I want to say Robert Downey, but like I'm trying to think, like it's just because Robert Downey got more screen time than everyone else.
That's fair. Honestly, I feel like, honestly, if it's all right with you, I'll wait till after you're done with your ranking.
Yeah.
But I do want to actually change mine.
What, your top 3?
No, just if it's all right with you, I actually want to bump Robert Downey to 3, and I'm gonna bump James Spader up to 2.
Okay.
Yeah, because listening to you, I'm just like, yeah, you know what, you got a point. So yeah, Spader gets number 2.
Yeah, it's hard, because it's like no one else got as much time to shine as freaking Robert Downey did.
It's true.
And not to say that I don't like Robert Downey's performance of Iron Man. I love that he plays like his performance as Iron Man. Yeah. It's just in an Avengers movie, you need to focus on all of the Avengers. Give them equal treatment. Obviously, like somewhat, like there's always going to be like a major focus of one, but I feel like the screen time in Age of Ultron is just so skewed.
No, it really is. I mean, honestly, out of the original 6, I feel like the one that gets the short end of the stick the most is Thor.
Yeah, Thor got freaking all types of screwed.
Like Thor gets like jack shit to do here. I mean, yeah, he goes on that like little adventure to, get really truly see his vision and the Infinity Stones and everything. But like as far as I feel like actually like growing as a character and everything like that, yeah, like up until Ragnarok, you could definitely tell that they were at a standstill when it came to Thor. They didn't know where to take him.
Yeah. I'm going to look up real quick what the screen time was for everyone. Nope. All right. So, yeah, no surprise anywhere. Tony Stark's coming in with 29 minutes, just under half an hour total screen time, followed by Steve Rogers, then Black Widow, then Ultron, then Hulk, Barton, Thor, Wanda, Pietro. Hulk gets 5 minutes.
Damn, I'm sure that kills you.
A little bit. Let's see. And then Vision, like 5 minutes. Yeah, so not a lot.
No.
Like, not a lot of screen time going around here. But yeah, it's hard to judge anyone else's performance because they were so overpowered by Robert Downey's.
It's true. I mean, honestly, and I know you don't love like the whole romantic relationship. I don't either. But and I think the way that we've talked, it feels like I don't know. Do you like Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner? Like, are you a fan of it or no?
I don't mind his banner. I just
Okay.
don't like what they've done to his Hulk.
That's fair because, like, honestly, if I'm, because dude, I just keep restructuring my freaking top 3, and you haven't even freaking finished yours. Like literally, I'm sorry, as we keep talking, I'm like, I really just want to kick Downey off the list because, like, if I'm thinking of other characters, that I'm just like, you know what, I remember having more, you know, an interest in, you know, like in that character where they took that character. So like if I'm like,
well,
totally
this isn't necessarily like the character; it's just who gave the best acting.
No, that's fair. And like, if
so
I'm thinking,
I think I have to give this to Robert Downey because one, he kills it. And it's just his performance is the one that stands out the most.
That's fair. I mean, if I had to think,
Renner.
Yeah. I feel like one that, like, honestly, I feel like Ruffalo still kind of stands out to me. Because like in this one, you can definitely tell he's still trying to fight. You know, having two persons' identities in him. And that's why I kind of hated the way that they took the Hulk in Ragnarok. That I don't know, just I hate that they turned it into a joke. But it like this in the first one, the way that Ruffalo's Banner deals with Hulk, I like absolutely love how much like the shit that he has to go through is just insane, and I feel Ruffalo just sells the performance so well.
Yeah. I still have to give this to Robert Downey.
I think I think I gotta agree too. Like, yeah, number 3, I'm gonna give to Downey as well. But like a close number 4. Like if we're even talking about that, like probably I would give it to Mark Ruffalo because yeah, just I love his performance as Bruce Banner.
Yeah. Going through everyone else though, like Chris Evans as Steve Rogers, like I think he was just played very bland.
He was, which sucks considering of how much character growth he had in the Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
that came out before this. So the fact that he
honestly, like I'm okay. Like with big team up movies like this, I think they just structured it wrong. Like, because they went into this, like every Avengers movie is basically an Iron Man movie. Iron Man is typically the focus.
It's true.
And if he's not, they work their way into making it like a Iron Man focused. They just, I think whoever gets gypped from like screen time needed to be like the focus. So it like in terms of like the Avengers, I think I don't know. I think they just needed to restructure it a little bit. Like maybe put a bit more focus on Barton. Like it seemed like that's a route that they wanted to head.
Yeah, and you'll get no arguments from me with that.
Yeah, but I mean all the performances were really good, so that's why we ended up giving acting a 90. All right, moving on over to character development. We ended up giving this an 85. Again, this was more like team. Like I think we more judged this as a team. So, like, what did you think of their development overall?
Honestly, I feel for the most part it was still, I feel, just as strong as in the first one. You could definitely tell throughout the movie that they definitely had their problems as a team. It was mostly, of course, Cap and Tony. those two struggling. But especially the scene where it's the final fight, and Ultron's just like, do you honestly, how do you think you could possibly stop me? And Tony just says, well, it's like the old man said together. And so it's a really sweet moment, the Avengers all banding together again. But like, I do appreciate that they have their ups and downs throughout the movie, because in the first one we only just see them banding together. That's all we really see. Is like, yeah, we see some like confrontations with them first meeting up with each other and everything, and acting just like trying to come together as a team, where in this one the team's already established, but it's staying a team is what the struggle is. And so I feel, for the most part, I feel it actually does a really good job at portraying just honestly how hard it can be to be a team with 6 freaking superheroes.
Yeah. I think the reason it's where it's at is because you definitely see like the struggles between them, and that's like super evident. I wish that we would have got to see more of just like their lighthearted bantering.
I wanted more of the freaking them all trying to lift Thor's hammer. I wanted more of that.
Yeah, like that's exactly like, I think that, I mean, it's hard to like figure out where to like put that, especially with how they structured the movie. But I think, I don't know, I think it worked out pretty well.
No, I
like
agree.
everyone was entertaining and fun, and like you get to see like the hardships that the team is going through and all this. So I think it worked out fairly well.
Yeah, I can definitely agree.
So yeah, sitting at that slightly above average score with 85, like definitely tracks.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to say about character development, or?
Not really.
Yeah, we usually pound through these like last ones, like the ones that we always seem to like stick on are story, writing, and acting, and then once we get to character development, it's like whew, we fly by.
It's kind of, it's kind of funny.
Yeah. Moving on over to effects, we also gave this an 85, and this one, like, so here's some of like the issues that I had. I felt like most of, if not all of the budget was focused on the Hulkbuster Hulk fight, because that looked incredible.
I can agree with that. I honestly, this is my favorite throughout the whole MCU the Hulk has ever looked. I love how the Hulk looks in this movie.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of how he looks in this. And I wish that they would have kept it consistent and not turned him into a freaking pretty boy. But
yeah, agreed.
That is neither here nor there. Yeah, so the effects I had issues with was a lot of the quick stuff. Anything that was happening that was like kind of a quick moment, I didn't care for. Like, I'm thinking like initially, like with the opening shot when I think it's either Thor or whoever is like flying towards like one of the bunkers that the enemy is at. Like he like flies up there like really quick, kicks a guy off. Oh shit! Kick my desk. Yeah, kicks this guy off, and it looks like super fake. Like when the guy's like falling down, and he goes and like flies off somewhere else. Like it's all so quick, and it doesn't have to be. Like, just take your time. Like make it look like somewhat good, but it turns into just like a quick little whoosh. Like you don't even get it. Like it doesn't feel like a true superhero takeoff. It feels so freaking animated.
Dude, it really, I know exactly what scene you're talking about, because because it's Thor, like you said, because there's a part where he like picks up a I think just like a piece of like a building, and the way that he like hits one of the bad guys with it, it looks so robotic and just so animated. I'm just like, there's no way that was actually Chris Hemsworth doing that. Like that was total CGI.
Yeah.
And like even after that, when Cap's dragging one of the guys while he's riding his motorcycle, that doesn't look that great in my opinion.
No. They spent most of their time focused on like certain shots. So like I think the shot that they focused on is when they're all like in line, like going to fight and everything.
I mean,
But
that one shot is so badass, though. You
it
gotta
is.
give him that.
It's a super dope scene.
Although I get why, because they probably had to. I don't know if they like had to flip the screen or not. This is me being nitpicky. In that scene when like they're all jumping into the air, Jeremy Renner he's holding the bow in his left hand and pulling back with his right when he's left-handed, so he should be holding it in his right and pulling back with his left. I'm just being nitpicky here, but that's just something that I always remember in that one scene. But I can look past that because it's such a badass scene.
I think that mainly had to be due to the angle.
Probably.
Because they were shooting it all from the right side, like looking in. So it's like I don't know if you could have had like a good shot where it's like his arms covering like a majority of the bow. You wouldn't get to see the arrow. So
That's
like they had
point.
to do it with the other arm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That or just continuity error, but I mean that's not really too much of
it could honestly be continuity error, because I remember he freaking in Thor he pulls it back with his right, but then he switches in Avengers to pulling it back with his left. I'm like, okay, so is Renner left or right-handed? But
it's just like that he's just ambidextrous now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but other than that, I think Ultron, as cool as he was designed, I don't think that he was animated quite the best.
Agreed. There are some scenes that I'm just like, okay, I can totally tell that he's not actually there. Like I'm having to kind of what's the word? Not control my brain, but like make my brain believe that he's there. Whereas that should just come natural. Like the CGI should be that good that I can totally believe that he's actually there.
Yeah, this is the downfall of CGI, I feel. I think that they should have gone for animatronic for Ultron.
Dude, I would have loved that so much.
Like the I mean the animatronics that we get nowadays are just off the hook. So I feel,
really are.
And then it looks better in the shot. Like you get a better performance out of the actors because not that like that was a constant issue that like if you look at the behind the scenes stuff, like Elizabeth Olsen and Aaron Taylor Johnson, they're always like talking like it's kind of hard to focus because James Spader's given this really good performance and your eyes are like drawn down to him, but you have to stare up at these two little like glowing eyes that they put up, or like this tennis ball, and it's just like it's distracting, and it's just like, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, most definitely.
Like they need to go practical where practicality can be done.
Yes, absolutely.
And yeah, like all the other robots, like the Ultron army, I'm like, whatever, like have that CGI. Like it didn't look horrible. But when it came to like main Ultron, like you should have done some practical shit with him.
Agreed.
And yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, there were some like cool scenes with him, like stuff that looked really cool, but it also like it reminded me of the bad guy from Robots. Like in terms of like the animation style.
Yeah, that's fair. I love that.
Yeah, my favorite's when he's throwing Widow in that prison and he's talking to her with his old body, and then he like rips through and like cuts the old one in half and like is in his like new vibranium body. Like that was the shit.
Yeah, that was badass.
Freaking love that. But yeah, unfortunately, I think this was one of the last good animated like MCU movie. Like I'm gonna before I put my tongue in my mouth or my.
I was like, isn't the phrase "foot in your mouth," your tongue in your mouth?
That's it.
I mean, I don't know about you, but my tongue's already in my mouth. Unless you had
I feel
some
like
surgery
the
done.
animation or like the CGI started getting funky It was already funky with Thor Ragnarok. They kind of fixed it with Infinity War. So it started taking a downfall somewhere between Homecoming and Infinity War, but with hit and misses.
Black Panther was a huge miss. At least in that final fight.
Yeah, the final fight, the rest of it,
not bad.
Yeah.
But God, that final fight, oh God, so bad.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Excuse me.
But yeah, so I still stand by the 85.
No, I do too.
All right, moving on over to music. We ended up giving this an 8 out of 10. Which I stand by. The Avengers theme is just like such an earworm. Like it's hard to not give it like anything. It's hard to give it anything lower. Like I was trying to justify like a 7. Like if I was anywhere, and we don't do half points, but if I was to put it anywhere, I'd probably be sitting at like a 7.5, but it'd be a strong 7.5. So since we round up, it's usually, I'd still round up to like an 8. But I mean, that theme song is just a freaking banger.
It is so iconic. Who did the music? So so Brian Tyler signed on for this one. But Alan Silvestri is the one that created the Avengers theme for the first one. So Brian replaced Alan from the first one. But yeah, we owe Alan Silvestri all the credit for creating that amazing Avengers theme.
Yeah.
Because to me, that is up with the ranks of like Star Wars, Indiana Jones. The Avengers theme just, like agree with whatever you said. Like it gets you just so hyped, so pumped. And just, I love it so much.
Yeah, same here. So yeah, that's why I think the 8 is fairly justified.
Agreed.
All right, moving on over to costumes. We also gave this an 8 out of 10. And this one was a little bit more, like, when I was looking through the scores, was a little bit more on the controversial side until I rewatched this movie and kind of reminded myself why it was sitting there. So we, like, looking through the images. So my biggest issue with this outfit or with Captain America's, this is my least favorite Captain America outfit.
What? Dude, this is like top 3 for me.
You're
saying you like the first Avengers suit more than this one?
Dude, I absolutely like the first Avengers suit more than this one.
All right, no, bro, I'm out.
I'm like,
I like that suit, but I love the one in Age of Ultron.
I don't care for like the excessively dark features on this.
That's what I love about
like
it.
It's the super dark blue. I don't like the freaking like accentuated like red highlights around his star. And then the freaking like stripe down the center, like not fully like connecting. Like I don't know why it bothers me so much, but it does. It's like I said, it's my least favorite suit of his.
Damn.
I also feel like with the helmet, the A should be a lot more vibrant than it is.
Okay, I will give you that.
Yeah, it should be cleaner. A lot of this is just brightness, and that's why I like the first Avenger, because it was like almost like jeans blue. So it was like nice and bright. Everything I love like how they incorporated the stars and stripes. Like it was like obviously the star logo, but then the stripes were part of like his just part of his uniform. And so in this, it's just wasn't digging it.
I was, but that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, the next up, Thor. Thor's kind of like same issues for me. Very, very dark, where I feel like Thor out of everyone should be like the cleanest looking. Like, especially with his, like, now knowing that his suit is magic, Like that's how he like snaps on and off his outfit. Like I feel like his suits should be very clean looking.
I feel that this is where we're like kind of indifferent with this, because I feel that this sequel definitely tries to be a lot more dark and gritty than the first one, a lot more serious, because compared to the first one. And so it seems like the costume designers wanted the costumes to follow suit with that, and so the costumes are, you know, given a lot more paler colors, a lot more darker colors. So like I don't know, man. I kind of got to disagree with you a little bit. Like I love the darkness of these costumes. It really works for me with Age of Ultron.
Fair. I mean, I understand like wanting to match the tone and everything. Like I completely understand that. It's just, I don't know. For me personally, it's just
No, dude, I completely get it.
One of my favorite things, there's actually an Avengers, like an animated Avengers movie. I forget like the full title of it, but it's like it kind of follows along with like the Ultimate Avengers. And so Thor in this, like he has like the circular discs on his suit, but when he's using his power, they glow. And I feel like that's a feature on these suits that they've never like fully utilized. Like I feel like it's always been a staple. Like they've had those discs, it's just they've never done anything like with them. And I would love to see one where it's like they're glowing.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, so but I mean I like the sleeveless look. The hair's fine. Like I think this has kind of gotten to the point where it's maybe a little on the too long side, but fair, minor complaint there. Yeah. And then I've been indifferent about the helmet. Like I still think that I really would like to see Thor wear a helmet, but I understand that why they don't. All right, next up we got Iron Man. Iron Man looks freaking sick. The design of the Hulkbuster was badass.
Yeah, it really was. That shows perfection.
Yeah, they adapted that like flawlessly. Like I have close to no complaints about Iron Man.
I will say though, it's not my favorite mark that Iron Man has ever worn. But I am curious. Do you have a favorite mark that Iron Man has worn?
Ooh, that's a great question.
It's a hard one though, right?
Yeah. Gosh, that's a damn good question. Honestly, I think I'm partial to the Mark II or
that's fair.
Mark III.
Mark III. Okay, so the OG golden red.
Yeah, I think I've always been partial to that. I really dug the triangle arc reactor from Iron Man 2. I can't keep track of like the arc or the mark numbers.
No, dude, same here.
And then the Mark 42 suit from Iron Man 3 was pretty cool.
All right.
And then after that, I kind of started liking the suits less and less. Like this one was, I think, the last one outside of Iron Man 3 that I liked.
That's fair, because like honestly, after this one, they just all got like way too CGI. Like, you know, going back to what you said about, this was definitely like the last like good CGI Marvel movie. Because after this one, like literally, because before, I feel like before Civil War, because I feel that's when it like really started not like great. Like I could totally tell that Tony was not in that suit. He actually they used to have him like actually wear like the shoulder, the guards, and like other parts of the suit. They would freaking, he'd wear a motion capture suit so they could like add in the extra parts during post-production, but he was still wearing part of it to where it would make for easier movements. They could track his head better, all that stuff, so it looked really, really good. But like when it came to like Civil War, like there's like when they're at the airport, whenever Tony moves his head when his helmet's off, it looks so freaking bad.
Yeah.
so bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that like Age of Ultron's the last good or CGI Marvel movie. I'd say
I
the
feel
last.
with Iron Man it is, at least to me.
Oh, with Iron
'cause-
Man, yes.
Yeah.
The last one I would say was probably Doctor Strange.
That's fair. Okay, yeah, I can definitely.
And
agree
that's
with you
just
there.
because Doctor Strange was just a freaking trip.
Yes, but in the best way possible.
Yeah. But yeah, loved his look, and I loved how they just kind of like mirrored it over with the Hulkbuster. The Hulkbuster was the bomb.com. Like,
I feel the Hulkbuster, the way that like it's got some like silver going on, I don't know, the way that the silver is placed, it reminds me a lot of the his final suit in the first Avengers.
yeah, a little bit, right?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Iron Man. Next we got Hawkeye, and so what we're looking at now is like the trench coat suit, and he had this throughout the entire movie.
He
Right?
did the only so not the entire movie. When it came to the final fight, he does take it off, and then he goes back to having the like sleeveless look that he had in the first one, which that one works too. Like I love both. But I do appreciate that they even tried more to go with a comic accurate, but also like keeping it like, you know, like what's the word, like not Black Ops, but like stealth suit for Hawkeye.
Yeah. I think my only real complaint with his suit is I wish that they would have gone with a richer purple and not
That's
this
fair.
like reddish purple.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, no real complaints.
Yeah. And dude, I freaking loved his quiver in this one.
His quiver was sick.
All right. I find it funny that his quiver changes throughout every single movie. It's always a different one.
Yeah. But overall really dug his suit.
No. I'm also sorry, can I say one more thing about Hawkeye?
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad that because after this movie his bow switches back to how it was in the first Avengers. I'm honestly disappointed that they never came back to this bow, because I love this bow that he holds, like how it has like the circle around his where he holds it in his hand. I feel like the positioning of his hand just looks a lot more comfortable. So like I've always been curious why they switched back after Age of Ultron, because like yeah, just I love the design of this bow, and I wish that they would have kept it going.
Yeah, definitely with you on that one. All right, next up we got the twins, Wanda and Pietro. Wanda, I think they adapted the best that they could there.
Fair.
Hers is like she's in a black dress, she's in like knee-high boots and a red leather jacket. Like it's the best that they could do. I don't think that we got enough of her suit at the end of this movie, which I'm not counting because it was in there for just like a short little blip. But this was okay.
Yeah.
And then Quicksilver's, like his was pretty plain, but the shirt was cool.
This sure was really cool.
Yeah,
I can
very.
definitely agree with you there.
It felt like maybe he took it from like Captain America in terms of like his.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did.
Yeah, but I think it worked. It looks great for his character. Just kind of like, I don't know, like it just looks like a shirt. Like I don't know how to explain this. It just looks like a shirt you'd wear if you had super speed.
No, it does. No, dead serious.
Like I couldn't tell you why. It's just like if someone came to me wearing a shirt that was like similar to this and they're like, hey, what superpower do I have? I'd like my first instinct would be like super speed, duh.
Yeah. Isn't it obvious?
Yeah. All right, and then last up we got the design for Ultron. And freaking loved it.
Yeah, phenomenal.
He looks so cool.
Phenomenal. Like, say what you will about, I mean, we've already said some of the CGI on Ultron. but the design overall was flawless. It was fantastic. Not only in this form, but his vibranium form. Both looked fan-freaking-tastic.
Yeah. Like zero complaints. And then yeah, like I said, that was the last one. So real big fan of his overall look here. So yeah, the reason I think this is why we gave it a 9 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. Sorry. I think I disliked the suits more than you did. And I think you ended up giving it a 9 and I ended up giving it a 7.
Yeah, I think you're right. So,
yeah, now that we're talking about it and like my feelings are like, because our feelings about this movie haven't really changed much.
No, they haven't.
Like, if at all. And so, yeah, I think that's exactly what happened because you're a big fan of these suits. I'm not.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was down at like a 7. And so, yeah, so averaging out to the middle, being at an 8.
I want to, sorry, I don't know if you liked it, but freaking the costume for Black Widow, like with her 2 batons and like how when she would spread them out, her like freaking suit would like light up blue, and so would I love that shit. Did you not?
I hated that.
Really? Oh, I freaking love that shit. Okay, yeah, this explains even more why it's an 8. Yeah, I totally gave this a 9. Totally remembering this. I loved that shit.
Yeah, I couldn't stand it. I thought it looked like friggin' did not care for it whatsoever.
Hilarious. Oh my god, I love this so much. This is fantastic.
Dude, I remember seeing like the little clips or the trailers before this movie came out and bitching about how she looked in that. I was just like, what the did they do to her suit? Like, she's a undercover spy. Like, why would she have a glowing suit? Like, so dumb. I loved her suit in Black Widow though. Like, once they finally went accurate with it, went nuts for that suit.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah, so yeah, now I understand why we gave this an 8.
Oh man.
All right, and then last up we had our own personal score. We did discuss this a little bit earlier. I did not like this movie as much as Rose did. So you ended up giving this an 89. Or that's where you said you were sitting at right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said I'm sitting at an 81.
So, yeah, combining those two together, averaging it out, 85, yes. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean it's still like it's an entertaining movie.
It is.
This is one that's really fun for at least for me to like just sit and like reflect on. I liked thinking about how I can improve it, or how I would improve it, or would have improved it, because I can't go back and improve it. But it's one of those movies that's fun to watch and then just like reflect on.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's where most of my enjoyment comes out of, just like, oh, what I would have done different.
Yeah. That's completely fair. I feel my biggest, it definitely, I feel that I wish that we would have gotten a little better of a sequel when it came to the first Avengers, because I love that movie so much. And unfortunately, I feel that I do not love the sequel as much. But for what we get here with, the team building, and especially, not trying to be, I am going to be biased, the freaking character arc that we get, or character development we get for Hawkeye, is just so great. And I feel for me, it outshines some of the problems that I have with this movie. So that's why I stand with an 89 personally.
Yeah. But yeah, so we ended up averaging out to an 85.
Yeah.
Which brings our final All Bros letter grade for Avengers Age of Ultron to a B. I guess there's no point for a drum roll. We've talked about the score before. But yeah, we're sitting at a B with Age of Ultron.
Not
And
bad.
I think it's still super deserving of that. Like, this is probably the one movie that I am like 100% okay with where it's sitting.
Fair. No, I can absolutely agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, comparing this to the other movies that we've reviewed, this is sitting below Prey. It's below Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
It is below Christopher Robin.
Fair.
It's below The Matrix Resurrections, and it's below Megan. And then going the opposite direction, it's sitting above Blue Beetle. It's above Solo, a Star Wars story. It's above A Christmas Story Christmas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let's see. It's above Free Guy, and then it is above Thor Ragnarok.
I am perfectly okay with that.
Same here. I am very much okay with that.
All right. Well, unless you got anything else you want to say about Age of Ultron.
That I do not.
All right. Well, if you like what you heard and you want to hear more from us, be sure to follow and subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. We're everywhere, basically. Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that fun jazz. If you prefer to catch our episodes on YouTube, if that's your preferred listening platform, you can also find us on there. If you want to follow us on social media, where you can answer our questions of the week, recommend movies that you want us to do recommend movies you want us to do mini breakdowns of, or mini recommendations of. That's where you can definitely do those. We are at Facebook, facebook.com/The Allbros, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at The Allbros. Or if you prefer to email us, you can do so at theallbroschannel@gmail.com. You can check out our website, tinyurl.com/The Allbros. Or you can also check out our merch store, tpublic.com/user/The Allbros channel. Since we're recording this episode in advance, Caleb, I straight up already forgot the movie that comes after this one.
The one that comes after this is going to be, because I forgot it too, be Chicken Run.
Okay, well, next week you can look forward to Chicken Run, which I still feel. Never mind. I'm not going to say anything. You'll get our thoughts then. But until then, this has been the All Bros Podcast. I am Jonathan,
and I'm Caleb,
and we will catch you guys next week. So long. I don't know.
Jeez, you all right?
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right. Deuces.